we are going to look at the film Major League from 1989, released April 7th, 1989. And although it's a great baseball movie enjoyed by everybody, I think it's particularly a favorite of those of us who are Guardians, former Indians fans, and Northeastern Ohio in general. And it was written and directed by David S. Ward. It stars a whole bunch of folks: Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Corbin Burnson, Wesley Snipes, Dennis Haysbert, Bob Uecker. And David S. Ward was actually a lifelong Cleveland Indians fan, like a lot of us. And his inspiration for creating the movie was simply because he thought it would be the only way he would ever see the Indians actually win anything. Now, keep in mind, this is 1989, before the Indians of the 90s had a couple of good runs there, still broke our hearts. But so David Ward was just a fan who wanted to see his team succeed, so he made a movie about it. The home game scenes were actually filmed in Milwaukee's County Stadium, which has since been torn down. The exterior stadium shots used the former Cleveland Municipal Stadium, which has also been torn down. So no longer any of the shooting locations of that film standing today. Talking about the real-life Indians, during the 2016 baseball season, which was a great season for the team, real players Jason Kipnis and Mike Napoli actually acquired 2 Jobu statues. You know, Jobu is a figure that is prominent in the movie. Anyway, they acquired 2 Jobu statues and set them up in a shrine in the team's locker room at Progressive Field. And more sort of blending of reality, baseball fans in Ohio pushed to have Charlie Sheen appear in his Rick Wild Thing Vaughn persona to throw out a ceremonial first pitch at the 2016 World Series in Cleveland. And Sheen said he was ready and receptive to do it, but Major League Baseball and the Indians had already decided on others to do it, so we kind of lost a fun cultural moment there. More blending of reality, the modern-day tradition of relief pitchers, mainly closers, having their own intro songs when they walk out to the mound was actually largely inspired by this film.
Joe Fortunato with us on Film School as we're talking about Major League. And you talked about the cast and the characters, memorable performances, Joe, and I know you like to go down that road.
Yeah, and it's a big cast. I don't have a whole lot of who might have been in the movie kind of casting, but some fun casting moments. When director David Ward asked Bob Uecker to play Harry Doyle, the announcer in the film, he chose Uecker because of his acting work in the Miller Lite ads and on the sitcom Mr. Belvedere. It wasn't until he met Uecker later did he even learn that Uecker had for 20 years been the radio broadcaster of the Milwaukee Brewers. So kind of funny there. In fact, Harry Doyle, his character's line, just a bit outside, which has become sort of the film's most memorable and imitated catchphrase, wasn't even in the script. That was totally improvised by Bob Uecker, and he was encouraged to do so by the director. A lot of for the crowd scenes in the climatic playoff game, there were over 20,000 extras in the stand. And when the team first ran out into the field and the crowd roars, Dennis Haysbert admitted to being overwhelmed emotionally by the experience. And former major leaguer Steve Yeager, who was the technical advisor on the film, noticed Haysbert's reaction and said to him, "This is what it's like 162 times a year." So kind of a cool baseball moment. Some more of the cast stories. Wesley Snipes was not a very skilled baseball player in real life, not having played much of it before. So he was so awful at throwing the baseball that they didn't have any scenes of him throwing a ball. And his running scenes, remember, in the movie, he's supposed to be really fast and great at stealing bases. His running scenes were actually shown in slow motion to give the impression that he was running faster than he actually is, because he wasn't really that fast a runner. And Charlie Sheen was actually a high school pitcher and offered a baseball scholarship at the University of Kansas. In the movie, he throws 101 miles per hour. In reality, Sheen could muster up into the high 80s. But it did make it easier to simulate the fastball on film. And well, this is actually not a cast thing. This is a kind of an interesting moment, blending of reality. Again, in the scene where Jake invades a party, one of the guests asks him how much Jake makes in the majors, and he replies, "I make the league minimum." Now, at the time, in 1989, get this, the MLB salary minimum was $68,000. They've come quite a way with that.
How things have changed. I would have to imagine the minimum now has to be about $350,000 to $400,000 at least.
I would think so. I don't really know the answer to that, but I was struck by how low that was and sounded even then.
Well,
another kind of moment, and this will again appeal to Clevelanders. Of course, and most people nationally know that just a couple years ago, the Cleveland Indians officially changed their name to the Cleveland Guardians. Now, what some people might not remember is that was sort of tipped off in this movie. The very first shot in this movie is of the Guardian statues on the Hope Memorial Bridge, which is where the Guardians' name derived from, for those who don't know.